Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really taking a full plunge. We're looking into some of life's really profound questions, how our actions shape our destiny, the complex paths of belief, like Taoism, and how these powerful, maybe unseen forces show up in real people's lives, sometimes in very surprising ways. We've got a really fascinating collection of sources today, real life stories, spiritual insights. They really challenge assumptions, I think, and offer some incredible clarity. Our mission, like always, is to dig out those crucial insights to help you grasp what truly matters when you're navigating different beliefs and, well, the consequences of your actions, which can be complex. Okay, so let's unpack this. We have some truly poignant stories, individuals grappling with faith, family, the really big questions.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating here is how these very personal stories, they really illuminate these universal truths. Truths about cause and effect, what many call the law of karma. And we also got a deeper look into the origins and the sometimes subtle distinctions within Taoism. Together, these stories really help us grasp these complex ideas more clearly in a way that I think truly resonates.
Okay, so let's start there. With this common idea, especially in Chinese culture, that Taoism and Buddhism, they can kind of go together. Our sources mention this perception that they often coexist, even intertwine. Some people apparently even see Buddha as like a transforming deity within the Taoist system, which is quite a blend.
Yeah, and the sources detail some specific Taoist practices too, ways to contact deities, things like clairaudience.
Which is essentially hearing voices or sounds from the spiritual realm, right? Exactly, spiritual hearing, and also the wide use of spirit mediums.
Mhm.
There's a strong belief that spirit possession can actually help beings, letting spirits communicate through a person. And what's really interesting is that some Buddhist teachers, according to these accounts, even suggested that rejecting these deities, well, it would be like rejecting the merit of Buddha himself.
Which really blurs those lines, doesn't it?
It does.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the origins of Taoism are actually quite similar in a way to early Brahmanism in India. It
Hmm.
started with a really noble quest, for liberation from suffering,
Yeah.
a deep desire to break free. And this led practitioners to become ascetics, a bit like the early seekers in India. We could maybe call them Chinese rishis. They'd retreat to forests, mountains for intense practice.
And they achieved some remarkable things, didn't they?
They really did. Our sources tell us some could even detach their bodies. The Thai term is thought kai. It's often described as like astral projection or an out-of-body experience.
Wow.
And many lived exceptionally long lives. That's where the term Sion or Xian comes from, these sort of legendary immortals. They also discovered certain profound natural principles, the balance of dualities, dark and light, hot and cold, good and evil. They really understood the basic equilibrium of nature and life itself.
But then things shifted. It didn't stay on that path of pure liberation.
That's right, this early profound quest, it eventually saw a significant shift. Later practitioners, while they did develop some minor psychic powers, they apparently became quite attached to these abilities. And this attachment, the sources suggest, actually prevented them from reaching the higher spiritual realms, the Brahmaloka, unlike their predecessors who were aiming for ultimate liberation.
So where did they end up, spiritually speaking?
Well, they became what's known as Vidyadhara, which means knowledge holders. They dwelt in a kind of celestial forest realm called Himaphan. You can think of them as maybe enlightened sages, but still kind of earthbound, similar to later Indian hermits. And this period saw a lot of blending with local beliefs, ghosts, spirits, celestial beings, which led to the practice of spirit mediums becoming more common, to try and alleviate human suffering. People often believe these mediums were possessed by deities, or maybe even these Vidyadhara themselves.
Okay, so that explains some of the blending. But how did Buddhism specifically get drawn into Taoism's framework?
Well, this raises a really important question. The sources show a fascinating parallel with Hinduism, actually. Hinduism assimilated Buddha as one of their own deities, an avatar. It's a pretty common thing historically.
Right, absorbing a new, powerful teaching into the existing structure.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Instead of fundamentally shifting, Taoism tried to do the same thing, making Buddha one of their transforming deities, which understandably led many people to believe the paths were basically the same thing.
So, with all this blending and blurring of lines, what does it actually mean for someone trying to follow a clear spiritual path? What's the real difference here?
Okay, this is the critical distinction, and it often gets overlooked when beliefs blend like this. While many spiritual paths, including later forms of Taoism, might offer comfort or power within our perceived reality,
Yeah.
Within the three realms of existence, the material world, lower spiritual planes. Buddhism points to something fundamentally different.
Different how?
Its core purpose isn't just about improving things within the cycle. It's about liberation from defilements, freedom from those three realms entirely, and ultimately Nirvana. It's not just a different goal. It's an entirely different map for the spiritual journey.
Hmm.
It offers this surprising clarity, maybe, on what true ultimate freedom could entail.
That's a really fundamental distinction to grasp. Not all paths lead to the same place, even if they start with good intentions.
Precisely.
And it's exactly this kind of distinction, or maybe the blurring of it, that plays out so vividly in the lives our sources detail. Let's shift now to the very real impacts of these choices. Starting with Luke's husband. He had quite a journey, it seems.
He did. Luke's husband studied both Buddhism, specifically the Sukhavati tradition, focusing on Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land. He even formally took refuge, the Trisaranakam, at Foguangshan Temple, which is a major Buddhist monastery.
Okay, so a grounding in Buddhism.
Yes, but he also delved deeply into Taoism. He spent time helping spirit mediums at the Shuangming Dian Shrine. That's where deities like Jigong, who's actually a revered Chinese Buddhist monk, often incorporated into Taoist practice, and Xuantian Shengdi, a powerful Taoist god, would supposedly possess people.
And here's where it gets really interesting. He genuinely felt personally that a deity had come to possess his own body through his Taoist practice. He was actively trying to make himself a channel.
Yes, that was his perception, his goal.
So what did the sources say? Was he actually possessed?
Well, the sources are unequivocal here. No deity actually possessed him.
Really?
Really? He was, in essence, self-hypnotizing, trying to make himself lose consciousness to feel possessed.
Wow. So it's self-induced.
Entirely. And this practice is actually dangerous from a Buddhist perspective.
Dangerous how?
Because it weakens your mindfulness. It makes it incredibly difficult to achieve true Dharma, true understanding. The path to genuine spiritual growth needs clarity of mind, focus, not its absence.
Right.
This kind of practice actually undermines the very foundation of mindfulness needed for insight. The advice from the sources is very clear. He needs to stop this practice entirely.
That's a powerful warning for anyone seeking that kind of divine connection, maybe looking in the wrong places or using the wrong methods.
It is. Clarity, not trance, is key.
Okay, now let's turn to Luke's paternal grandfather, Pooh. He sounds like quite a character.
He does indeed. Started as a furniture maker, then became a respected Chinese traditional medicine doctor. Also practiced Kung Fu.
And he was known for being very health conscious, always helping his neighbors. Sounds like a pillar of the community.
Very much so.
But despite all that, his death, it was quite tragic.
Yes. At 86, he collapsed suddenly. Diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver. Passed away 3 months later.
And even near death, he tried to keep up appearances, go into the market.
It seems so. Perhaps because he was seen as a leader, a healer. He wanted to appear strong.
But the accounts of his actual passing are quite harrowing, vomiting blood.
Yes, multiple times, quite violently according to the descriptions. Up to 30 centimeters high. A very difficult end.
So how does karma explain this? The healthy healer dying of liver cirrhosis.
Well, Pooh's case, based on our deep dive, is a really powerful example of mixed karma. Cause and effect playing out clearly. His regular habit of drinking fermented liquor. The sources actually call this suicide karma because of its self-destructive nature.
Yeah.
That led directly to the liver condition.
Ah, okay. The drinking.
Yes. But on the other hand, his strong merit from healing others from his community work made his afterlife quite unique.
Unique how? What happened after he died?
He became an officer in the Yamaloka.
Which is like the underworld, a lower realm.
Often understood that way in Buddhist cosmology, yes. A realm where karma is processed. He's responsible for receiving the subtle bodies, the spirits of the newly deceased. Apparently, he serves for 9 months of the year and gets 3 months of rest.
Wow. So his good deeds gave him a position of responsibility, but his negative karma tied him to that realm.
Exactly. And while he does receive merit transferred from his family, the sources say it's not enough yet to free him from this duty. It's a direct consequence of his life's actions, good and bad.
It's so specific. And Luke mentioned wanting to be his grandchild again. Is that possible?
The sources are quite direct about this. It depends entirely on her own accumulated merit. If she generates a lot of merit in this life, she'll be born into a family with corresponding merit. That past wish is secondary to her current actions.
So our present actions really dictate the future.
Paramount. That's the clear message.
Okay, next, let's look at Luke's paternal aunt, Paula. A devout Christian, but her life took a very difficult turn.
Yes, very poignant story. At 30, she developed a severe nervous disorder, a mental illness that came in waves.
It sounds truly debilitating. Suicidal, uncontrollable, even running naked outside.
Deep distress, yes. She was hospitalized, but tragically, she developed an aversion to food, she refused to eat, and ultimately died at 50.
What could possibly explain such suffering for someone described as devout?
This is where the concept of past life karma comes in strongly, according to the sources. In a previous existence, Pu was apparently a man. He habitually drank alcohol, became aggressive, and was just perpetually unsuccessful.
Ah, another connection to alcohol.
Yes. He drank a cope, but it just led to deeper depression. And eventually, he essentially starved himself to death out of despair and self-neglect.
Oh my goodness.
That profound suffering, that specific karma of self-neglect and starvation, it manifested in this life as her severe nervous disorder and her ultimate refusal to eat.
So the pattern repeated in a way.
Echoed across lifetimes. The sources state she's currently a wandering spirit, not fully conscious, sort of disoriented. She receives some merit sent by family, but needs much more to recover from that state.
It's a stark reminder, isn't it? How these deep patterns can carry over, makes you think about the quiet choices we make every day.
Absolutely, the long-term ripple effects.
Right. Finally, let's turn to Luke's maternal grandmother, Amma. She sounds like a force of nature.
Definitely a powerful matriarch. A highly capable Chinese woman wielded absolute authority in the family, even over her husband, which was quite unconventional then.
And she broke tradition with the ancestor tablets.
She did. She brought her own ancestor spirit tablets into her husband's home and actually compelled his relatives to worship them too. A very bold move, asserting her will.
Despite being illiterate, she prayed daily.
Yes, morning and evening prayers every day. Shows real devotion and strong character.
And she lived a long life, but had a fall later on.
Yes, in her later years, she fell, hit her head, broke her leg, needed surgery. Afterwards, she gradually stopped eating and passed away at 95. A very long life.
So what was the karmic reason for her long life, and what happened to her after death? She sounds quite different from the others.
Amma's long life was attributed to strong past merit, specifically from social welfare, helping the poor, supporting relatives with food and money in previous lives.
Okay, so generosity merit.
Exactly. And after death, she became an akasateva,
What's that?
an aerial deity, residing in the air, often in higher celestial realms. Specifically, she's of the Yaksa, or giant lineage, powerful beings, sometimes ambivalent. She resides in a beautiful silver, pavilion-like palace in the air.
Wow. And that powerful afterlife is linked to her personality.
Directly linked, according to the sources, to her strong, decisive, authoritative nature in life. She also continues to receive merit from her family.
That's fascinating. A direct correlation between personality traits and the afterlife realm. But what about the family unrest? Was it because she brought her ancestor tablets in?
That's an excellent question the sources address. They state quite clearly that the family's lack of harmony was not caused by the ancestral tablets issue.
Oh, what was it then?
It was simply down to the individual personalities within the family, people being unwilling to compromise with each other.
So it highlights that interpersonal dynamics, individual choices, are often the real root of conflict, not necessarily bending spiritual traditions.
Precisely. Human relationships are complex.
These deep dives into these family histories, they give us so much to think about, the choices we make, their long-term impact. What really stands out to you, thinking about our listeners?
Well, what stands out is how the sources reflect on Luke, herself, and her current family. They note that Luke, her husband, their daughters, they have created merit with their community of practitioners, the Mukana. But their practice has been inconsistent, based on mood, is the phrase used, not steady commitment.
Right, doing it when they feel like it.
Exactly. And there's also still this tendency, noted in the sources, to believe in faiths outside of pure Buddhism, a bit like we saw with the husband's earlier Taoist practices. And this really highlights a common challenge for many people on a spiritual path, doesn't it? Staying focused.
It really does. Which I think brings us to a crucial takeaway for anyone listening.
Absolutely. If the ultimate aspiration is something like reaching the Dusitbury Special Merit Circle, which is described as a specific higher celestial realm for dedicated practitioners following a particular path of merit-making, then the key, according to these sources, is to exclusively embrace Buddhism, cultivating generosity, observing precepts, practicing meditation consistently.
Consistency seems key.
It's paramount. This unwavering, clear commitment is what ensures that your highest aspirations can actually be fulfilled when your life eventually concludes. It's the consistency, not just the initial intention, that truly guides your destiny.
What an incredible deep dive today. As we've gone through these stories, what really strikes me is how our seemingly small choices echo through time, affecting us, those around us, tying into life and death in ways we rarely consider. The stories of Pu, Pa, Amma, and the insights into Taoism, they really underscore the profound impact of our actions, our intentions.
Indeed, from that early noble quest for liberation in Taoism, which perhaps got sidetracked, to the very specific karmic outcomes we saw in these family stories. The consistent message is the power of understanding your path and then choosing it wisely. It really reinforces the importance of clear, consistent practice, not getting caught up in blended approaches or, inconsistent efforts that might dilute your focus.
So what does this all mean for you, listening right now? These stories, I think, they invite us to reflect on our own beliefs, our own practices. Are we truly seeking ultimate liberation? Or are we maybe getting a bit entangled along the way, drawn to paths that offer perhaps temporary comfort, but maybe not that ultimate freedom?
And remember that point about the husband's practice, the self-hypnosis. The path to true spiritual growth requires clarity of mind, unwavering mindfulness, not its absence. Consistent mindful practice, that's what truly builds the merit and steers our destinies toward the highest good.
A powerful thought to leave you with today. How might understanding these diverse paths, these very real karmic consequences, how might that influence your own journey towards well-being and perhaps ultimate liberation? Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.